I must tell you, it is quite an honor to be the lead-off speaker this season of Lent. How about that? Notice I'm not the cleanup speaker. They don't think I'm strong enough for that. But anyway. So, Pastor Ed, like everyone else here, I have a list of my 5 favorite sermons that you delivered here. And so I like to call them Pastor Ed's greatest hits. And tonight I would like to tell you about, for me, a sermon that truly was very meaningful to me. It was a sermon that you gave, I believe it was the first Sunday after Easter. And it was at a time where I'd lost a very dear family member and was still kind of limping along, had a lot of grief, and it was a difficult journey. And that sermon was the first time I'd heard the story of the road to Emmaus. And for those of you that may not be well familiar with that story, that is a story about 2 followers of Jesus that were walking from Jerusalem to Emmaus, which is a village, as I understand, near Jerusalem. And they were sad at what had happened that week. This was Resurrection Sunday. And they were discussing what had happened, and a stranger joined their journey, started walking with them. And the stranger asked what they were talking about, and they started telling them, don't you know what happened? They told the story of Jesus, about how he'd been handed over and tried and crucified and was buried, and he had said that he would be raised, but they had not seen him. And that morning they were sad because some of the women had gone to the tomb and it was empty. And as they told this story to the stranger, he started discussing some scriptures with them, and they continued on their journey. And then, I'm going to read this part so I get this right, because it's an important part. This is from Luke, 24th chapter. As they approached the village to which they were going, they urged him to stay with them, saying, "Stay with us, for it's nearly evening. The day is over." So he went in to stay with them. And when he was at the table with them, he took bread, gave thanks, broke it, and began to give it to them. And then their eyes were opened, and they recognized him. And at that moment, the followers of Jesus recognized Jesus had been walking with them all along. But their eyes had to be opened to realize that. And many times since that sermon, I mean it really, that was a sermon that really meant a lot to me. Many times I've thought when I'm having a difficult time, that I'm on a difficult journey, that someone's been there to be with me, to love me, to help me, to encourage me, to forgive me if that's necessary. And usually at some point my eyes are opened and I realize the person that's been with me all along, that's really been Jesus with me. That's really been God with me all along. But my eyes just had to be open to that so that I can recognize Jesus in that person. So when I got the letter from Pastor Dave and read that the theme of the Lenten services is going to be following Jesus, and then I read the scripture for this evening, especially the passage from John, I immediately thought of the story of the road to Emmaus and my own personal journeys that I've had, some of these difficult journeys. And John 13, verse 35, "Love one another as I have loved you, and by this, all will know that you are my disciples, if you love one another." So for me, what I've learned is, how do we recognize Jesus? We recognize Jesus by how we love people and how well we love them. And that makes it easier for me to recognize. Following Jesus is about loving people for me. And there have been people in my life that have always loved me, and they were following Jesus. And at times my eyes have been opened and I've seen and recognized the Jesus there. I am very blessed because I have people in my life that have loved me so well, so completely, so without deserving. And by that, when they've loved me and supported me, they have fulfilled that new commandment by loving me. And I see Jesus in them and through them. I learned early about being loved. My grandmother was my sun and my moon, and she was maybe the most godly person I've ever known. And she just loved people so thoroughly and completely. And people saw Jesus because of the way she loved people. And everyone saw that she was a disciple of Christ. I have a sister that got more of my grandmother's genes than I did, because she is the most loving person you'll ever meet. And I know the way she loves everyone, including me, who can be a pesky little sister. People see Jesus through her because of the way she loves people. I have so many friends and family members, colleagues, doctors and nurses, and some of them, they've loved me, and they've loved me so well, and I feel God's love. And without even asking their faith, probably they're a disciple of Christ. I have had some health problems from time to time over the years, and I have friends, fabulous friends, that will get a wheelchair when I can't walk to the baseball park and take me to opening day. Now that's a silly thing, except that's loving somebody really well and meeting them where their need is. And I think that is an important part of loving the way that perhaps shows Christian love. I have a friend here that taught me how to make cookies because I didn't know how to make cookies. And that's a very loving thing. I've had pastors that have loved me, and through them you see Jesus. But that's easier because usually that clerical collar is a giveaway. It's a dead giveaway. And through all this, Ann and Grace have loved me so well through all the trials we have been through. So what I take away from the scripture in John is this. It's not easy for me to talk to people about my faith. I don't know, that's not something that I'm good about. But if I want people to know, maybe get an essence of what Christianity is, what it means to be a follower of Christ, if I can love them and love them well enough, that's going to speak more than any words that I could try to say. And the great thing about this passage is the instructions are pretty easy. You want to show people that you're my disciple? Love one another. And that's easy, except when it's not. So it's my hope, it's my hope and my prayer that I'm going to learn how to love people throughout my life, love them better, and really show them the love that I've been given. Ann and I have this shorthand that we use sometimes. At times we've been through a difficult situation when we're grieving or there's something going on. One of us will usually say, well, we're on our road to Emmaus. And I thank God in those times that we have known that we are not alone on that journey. Thank you.